7 hours and 37 minutes on January 6th. That is the time gap in former President Trump's call logs from the day of the U.S. Capitol attack. This according to documents given to the January 6th committee and obtained by the Washington Post. We should note CNN first reported a significant gap in these presidential call records back in February. Sources also tell the Post the committee is now investigating whether Trump communicated that day instead through back channels, potentially using phones that belong to aides or even burner phones.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about what you just saw, which was a news report talking about Donald Trump's phone records showing a 7-hour gap during the January 6th quote-unquote insurrection. Now, the gap we're talking about is on official phone records in the White House. And what they're trying to say is like it's the same thing as Watergate, because there was, I think, an 18-hour gap in the phone records in Watergate. And then they found out that, they were intentionally removed or deleted or paused because they didn't want to have any evidence from Nixon talking to anybody on the outside, all this, that, and the third. And then they said Nixon blamed it on the secretary, and the secretary was trying to demonstrate how she accidentally removed the records to the media, and the media were like, that doesn't look too good to me. Looks kind of fishy, looks kind of suspicious. So they're trying to connect Donald Trump, January 6th, to Richard Nixon and Watergate, trying to make it be the same thing. As a matter of fact, the same reporter who was on the Watergate case, Bob Woodward, was on this case and broke this story. And I'll link to that story in the description. It was Bob Woodward and Bob, somebody else, a bunch of Bobs on the case, right? But in reality, that was a hoax. This whole thing is not real. This 7-hour gap is not what they're saying it is. They're trying to say it's Trump trying to obfuscate some of the phone records, but obviously this ain't the 1970s. There's more than one way to communicate with somebody rather than just going in the White House and picking up the big phone and calling people, okay? There's a whole lot of devices you can use. You can use text, cell phones, landlines, everything else, not just the 1925 rotary phone or whatever they got in the White House, okay? So the story is not true. Now let's get to our article here. This is on Liberty Bugle. Shout out to them. Good source. I use them a lot for some of my information. And we're going to get into it, right? Becker, this is from Becker News on Liberty Bugle, but it's all over the place, and I'll link to all my sources. It says CNN admits Trump phone call, quote unquote, gap of missing 7 hours on January 6th was a hoax. So this is CNN saying, hey, this is not really what's going on. We made a mistake, X, Y, Z, this, that, and the third. Now it says the mystery of the 7-hour phone gap has fueled furious speculation as to why the calls are missing. That includes allegations that Trump was using quote unquote burner phones, which he has denied, or that the logs were purposely suppressed. Now, I don't know if you guys know about burner phones, but that's like, you get a phone like I guess you would call it a disposable cell phone for like a Walmart or something like that, get straight talk wireless. And it's basically meant to use so you can't track who the phone belongs to. You could just put minutes on it. You don't put your name on it. So nobody really knows who the actual phone belongs to because it's a burner phone, right? The whole thing is anonymity. But if you got a regular phone through Verizon or Sprint or whoever, you got to have your name and whatnot connected to it. So it's easily tracked back to you. So they're trying to say use burner phones, but that's not really what's going on. But we continue. But the gap may have a less mysterious explanation. According to multiple sources familiar with Trump's phone behavior and the White House switchboard records, the January 6th log reflects Trump's typical phone habits. He mainly placed calls through the switchboard when he was in the residence, but rarely used it when he was in the Oval Office. So basically, the phone is in one particular place, but if he's not right there, he's not going to use that phone. He'll use other phones that are maybe in the White House or cell phones or whatever, but we'll see. Let's keep on going here. The fact the log does not show calls on January 6, 2021 from the Oval Office is not unusual, said the sources, because Trump typically had staff either place calls directly for him on landlines or cell phones. Those calls would be noted, or those calls would not be noted on the switchboard log. Exactly, because you're not using that device. The 6 pages of White House switchboard logs for January 6, 2021 are completely based on an official review of White House records, according to a source familiar with the matter. There are no missing pages, and the 7-hour gap is likely explained by use of White House landlines, White House cell phones, and personal cell phones that do not go through the switchboard. And something else here, wasn't he at the rally on January 6th? Like, wasn't he outside of the White House? I mean, at a certain point, it's like, okay, you're moving around, you're traveling, you're not necessarily right there at that particular phone, so it'll get recorded. So the whole thing, the whole 7 hours of missing tape or evidence or whatever is just bogus. Okay, now you got a whole bunch of tweets. Look at all these blue checkers right here. A whole bunch of tweets talking about this whole thing, right? And I've been seeing this story develop. They're talking about, oh, well, they were linking the Will Smith slap to Trump's missing phone calls on January 6th. It's like, what are they talking about? What's going on here? Like, they literally did that all for it to be a hoax. Man, look at some of these tweets here. John Cooper talking about Anonymous. If you're listening, I hope you're able to find a 7.5-hour gap in Trump's phone log that is missing. So we're talking about the hacker group Anonymous. So you're encouraging a hacker group to interfere with domestic government matters. It's pretty serious. Brooklyn Dad, the OG respond tweet guy, says a lot of sedition can happen in 7 hours. What's this? Scott Dworkin says Trump phone logs have a 7-hour, 37-minute gap on January 6th, probably because he was busy attempting a coup. I mean, all this stuff from all these so-called reputable sources. Oh, here goes Dan Rather, another so-called reputable guy. Wait, January 6th, a gap in phone logs? I can't remember. Was anything happening on that day that Donald Trump might have been talking to people about? Huffington Post Politics says a gap in official records raises the possibility that Donald Trump was using burner phones to speak to other officials the day of the Capitol riot. I mean, all this ridiculous stuff. Occupy Democrats. Breaking. January 6th committee drops bombshell, reveals that Trump's phone records that the National Archives handed over show a glaring gap of nearly 8 hours. So the committee is now investigating Trump's suspicions use of burner phones that day. Suspicious or suspicions. Retweet if Trump must be locked up. Okay, so they're talking about, this is Watergate, all this and that. MS-13 DNC, aka MSNBC, talking about astonishing. Bob Woodward compares Trump phone call log gap to infamous Nixon tapes gap. I mean, the whole thing is just really ridiculous, but this is what the mainstream media does. They do it all the time. They keep putting out fake stories, half-baked stories that just are not complete. They don't have all the full details and context. This is why I always say on my show repetitively, I'm going to give you the full context and everything else and all information that you need. And I always write an article for each video and I link to my sources from left, right, center, everything in between, because I don't want you to be without information. You see, the mainstream media, they'll give you bits and pieces of information to try and craft a narrative for you. I'll give you the whole thing. Even if you don't hear me say what you want me to say in the video, I'll link to the sources and you make your own mind up. I'll tell you what's going on. I'll tell you to fact check me. And then I'll tell you to, compare what you find with what I say. This whole story was fake. The mainstream media, they keep putting out fake stuff all the time. I'm not surprised why people are so skeptical of anything they see from the media or online for that matter. They may see a video like the whole Will Smith slap. Oh, that's fake. Why think it's fake? Because everything the media puts out is fake. They keep putting out fake stories every single day. They put out fake videos. The whole thing with Ukraine, everything that comes out of Ukraine is typically fake. A lot of the videos are fake. The stories are fake. The people are fake. The president, he's fake. Everything's fake. It's like we're living in the Truman Show at a certain point. And again, this is why people don't trust the mainstream media. They don't respect the mainstream media. They want to come back over this way to hear what guys like myself got to say. Why not? Because we're more honest than the guys over there. We are the ones that bring you the real information. Mainstream media, what they do is they put out stories, and it's kind of like our job to make sense of it and to give you the actual story. We translate their nonsense into truth, into reality, rather than just spin and rhetoric and things of that nature. Now, as I close, I want to say this. CNN has now, quote unquote, admitted that the whole 7-hour tape thing was a hoax. But the problem with that is when the first story goes out there, people believe it. Just like the whole thing with the masks. People are still wearing masks, although they said that the masks don't help you. But it doesn't matter because the first story is what people believe. You told me at first the masks work, so I'm going to keep on wearing the mask. Now you want to say they don't work? I don't believe you. Why not believe when you believe them when they say wear it? Why not believe them when they say don't wear it? The first story is what makes the most, it matters the most to people. That's just what it is. And it's ridiculous that the mainstream media keeps doing this. But again, that's why people don't trust them. That's why they don't believe them. That's why they come into guys like me. So they could try to do all the censoring and the shadow banning. They can't stop us. They can't, because we are a necessity to happen, because our quote unquote trusted sources, our official sources, cannot be trusted. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about this story coming out of CNN talking about the whole 7-hour gap and Donald Trump's tapes thing was a hoax? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I mean, this is par for the course of the mainstream media nowadays. You know, today is April Fool's Day, April 1st, 2022. But I'm like, yo, today is canceled. April Fool's Day is canceled because our everyday life has become a big prank. Every day you turn on the television, it's a brand new hoax. You can't believe anything you see on television anymore. I was always told, don't believe whatever you see on TV. But now it's like the trusted news sources of yesteryear are no more. They're no more. They put out whatever they want to put out for ratings and views and clicks and for attention. That's what it is. It's all about money, not about facts, unfortunately. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.